Good morning, world. Once again, we are here. Fifth Ward Wildcat, and my cohort across from me is whom?
I'm KG, the Houston Roundbar View, and thank you for listening to another installment of the KG and the Fifth Ward Wildcat podcast. And as we do, as is our custom, hit us with the scores, Wildcat.
Let's start with Texas Southern. Texas Southern football lost 43-29 to Alabama State. Women's soccer went to a 0-0 tie with up the road rival Prairie View. Women's volleyball lost 3-0 to Mississippi Valley and lost 3-0 to Jackson State in a SWAC invitational at Jackson State this past weekend. HBU cross country. Men's finished first and women's finished fourth in the invitational. St. Thomas University women's volleyball team went 1-2 at the La Loyola Invitational down in New Orleans. Women's and then U of H football is now 6-0 after beating East Carolina 56-3. Women's soccer lost 1-0 to Colorado College on the road, and the women's volleyball swept East Carolina 3-0. Rice football beats Memphis 28-6. Women's soccer lost 1-0 to Colorado College on the road and had a 2-2 tie with UTEP also on the road. Women's volleyball swept Marshall 3-0, and these are my scores for the past weekend. KG, what's going on in your world this day?
Let's talk about the cancellation of the first 2 weeks of the NBA regular season.
Exactly. That's some more stuff will be going on.
What I was going to say to it, Monday night, Commissioner Stern made the announcement that first he was sorry to the fans and the workers, the people whose livelihood depends on the NBA basketball. I felt so warm and thrilled that he was sorry. It gave me a warm glow all over. And you hear the sarcasm in my voice. I don't give a damn if the man is sorry. The man's legacy is going on the toilet for a second lockout under his tenure. 2 weeks are gone. I'm surprised that it got this far. I'm disappointed that it got this far. And last podcast, a lot of colleagues felt that things were looking up. They were positive signs that the owners and the players were going to reach an agreement and avoid canceling the season. And now after the commissioner made the announcement, he said there's a gulf, a chasm, that they're not even close on systems or VRIs or basketball-related income or anything of the sort. So if the gap is so wide, then what the hell are we being told over the last 2 months? So if somebody's lying, or somebody was just giving us a line of BS, or rhetoric was thick. And then Billy Hunter, the executive for the Player Associations, was quoted as saying that if the owners believe that the players are going to crack, and because of missing some paychecks, that the owners are mistaken, sadly mistaken, and we're in this for the long haul. What do you freaking do? What does the long haul do? What if the season is canceled, the players miss a year of paychecks, a year out of their careers for principal? Is that what the hell they're left for us, fighting for principal? Give me a freaking break.
A bunch of millionaires, a bunch of billionaires. Egos are on the line right now. It's why we don't have professional basketball playing at this time, and why the league will not start on time. And if it continues, we may or may not be looking forward to professional basketball by December 1st. Is that possible, sir?
Oh, that's very possible. The season may not start in December, may start in January. The NBA will return at some point. I still believe it's going to be this year. I'm not sure when that's going to be exactly. But until then, to show you how much I'm indifferent toward the NBA season, Tuesday, the Wildcat and I were in Irving, Texas for Carmen Tuesday Basketball Media Day.
It's been a good day, folks. It's been a good day. Watch the way we light up the light.
And we did a lot of interviews. in studio. We get one-on-ones with some head coaches. You can check out the videos are posted on YouTube at Houston Romball channel. And Wildcat will post videos on his blog, which is, sir?
It is aksv.blogspot.com. You can also find me at www.kingSizeView.com.
And me as well. And both our big heads are on the front page of KingSizeView.com. Thanks to King Arthur Prather of King Arthur Productions for, gracing their homepage of the website with handsome faces for all the people to see and click on and visit our websites. Let's touch on a few things about Media Day. Obviously, we were speaking for myself. I was very glad that I was in state. We drove up there with our Chronicle colleague, young Mr. Sam Khan. It was great to be able to drive to Media Day and be able to drive back and not worry about anything else going wrong with flights or anything like that, any flight delays or being in other cities. So Media Day was great. It was well run. We got a lot done. We saw folks we hadn't seen in a while. We made some folks happy who were glad to see us. The video live stream was on the Conference website. Yeah, you may have heard our deep voices asking some of the questions to the coaches. We talked to James Dickey, head coach for U of H men's basketball, Todd Buchanan, women's head coach for U of H, Greg Williams, Rice House women's head coach, Ben Braun, Rice House men's head coach, Josh Pashner, Memphis Tigers men's head coach, Tim Floyd, UTEP men's head coach, Keith Adams, UTEP women's head coach. Wildcat spoke to UAB women's coach Audra Smith,
and also Marshall's head coach Ross Williams. Yeah, that's right.
And we got a lot done. So
Ross Chadwick.
Ross Chadwick. The videos are posted. And you know how anybody listens to the podcast knows we do things a little bit differently than some of our colleagues. The videos are up there live.
That is true.
We didn't chop them up or anything like that. They're there for you to listen. You hear sound in the background. You hear other things. That's how we do it. That's how we do it at the Houston Romball Review. That's how Wildcat does it on his blog as well. But it's still professional. You never have to worry about our professionalism being questioned. There's some of the things. What were some of the things that struck you at Media Day today?
Well, one of the things was it was my first visit. I presume yours also to the Fox Southwest Sports headquarters, studio,
and the studio.
Yeah, and it was interesting how they were able to just move from one venue to the next as far as getting interviews done. Normally it takes 2 days in order to get this stuff done, especially on the basketball side, because it's so many coaches and all that's involved. You got men's and women's. But today they were able to get it done all in one day. The one thing that did make it pretty much better especially for me, when we had our open cattle call as far as our one-on-ones, the coaches were pretty much amicable to whenever and whatever we needed to get done at that particular time, as long as it was within a window of going from their on-air live streaming to the digital network and to their flag that they flag poster that they were doing in the front. So it just made for just a good day to just get things done.
And everything went smoothly. We didn't have any problems, any difficulties. Let's touch on local teams, specifically Rice House women's basketball. We're going to discuss first because the Owls were picked preseason poll to finish second behind Memphis. Owls received 3 first place votes. Coach Williams, told us that he and the coaches and the players accept the challenge of being one of the hunted teams in the conference this year. One of the reasons that the Owls are expected to do big things this year is because of whom, sir?
Jessica Custer.
She's 6'2", sophomore forward. She was freshman of the year in the conference USA last season. She's improved her game this off season. She can rebound. She can shoot from outside. She can score in the post. She can block shots. She can do a little bit of everything. And we've talked about how we're not sure how she realized how good she is. But We encourage fans to come see her play to the field house. Custer is the real deal. She was named to Conference USA's first team, the only non-senior on the squad. Every other of 7, there was 8 spots named to the Conference USA team. 7 were seniors. Custer was the only non-senior named to the squad. That's how much he's respected by the coaches in the league.
The other thing that was done today also, we were noting that once we were on our way back, that the 2 pretty much prevalent players that will make contributions in Conference USA are both from Rice, and they're both double-doubles from last season. They're the only 2 that are returning. Arsalan Qasemi on the men's side, and Jessica Custer on the women's side. So
that tells me that basketball, big-time basketball, is on campus at Rice University, and it hopefully will generate some support from the students, from the alums, and from the city. And Coach Williams mentioned that their anticipation is high on campus. And you talked about some of the former players when they return from overseas during their break want to come see Custer play. So word has spread about how talented she is, and I am heaping high expectations upon her because I believe she can deliver them and get the job done this season. But she won't do it alone. She's got DeFron Smart, who's the Owls senior point guard. She is, I think, 38 assists away from being the all-time career assist leader for the Owls program. Shorty is, she's grown tremendously in basketball skills and IQ from her freshman season when she was thrust into starting position. And she's now a senior. She's the leader, unquestioned leader of the ball club. But the Owls women's team is solid. They have high expectations. The Owls men's team, because of Arsalan Qasemi, Tamir Jackson, the point guard, they're both juniors. Owls have veteran leaders on the guys' side, have veteran leaders on the women's side. So this year, Mr. Owl, Mr. Ward Wildcat, you have expectations for both teams to do what, sir? To
make it to the tournament. Both teams to go to postseason play, and for the women to make it to the tournament.
And what tournament is that, sir?
That would be the NCAA, sir. So a place that they are not unfamiliar with as far as the women are concerned. The fellas, they've got strides and all to make. It'll be interesting. Coach Ron talks about it in his interview today, where they are and what's expected of this team. And 2 leaders, Tamir Jackson and Arsalan Qasemi, they've added some guys to them, but chemistry is something that's worked out on the floor and in the middle in a game, and he's looking forward to getting the postseason play because they have improved from year to year, just like the women. And as I say, the women have turned the corner, and they've been they've been our mainstay over the last 10 years because they've found a way to get things done when they needed to get it done. The fellas, they've taken a tumble here in transition, just in coaching transition, and now they are ready to make the next move. And another thing Coach Brown discussed was his hope and desire that his team is more consistent, plays well consistently this season, which has been a problem the last 2 years, especially. They play well, be the top team in conferences, and then next game just come out and stink. Just can't rebound, can't defend, and just fall apart. Lose games they shouldn't lose. So hopefully they can be more consistent this year. You have them going to the postseason tournament. Is that NIT, sir? Yes. Is that one of the, the CIT, CBI? You know what? I don't. That can. Well, let's just be honest. That's a pay your way invite. And me personally, I'm looking for them to get to the NIT. Okay. That sounds good. You got the Rice Owls men going to the NIT and Rice Owls women going to the NCAA, correct? Yes. Now across the way to my beloved university, University of Houston, things are in transition on both squads. Women's team has 8 new faces, and men's team has 8 new faces. But to be honest, the talent level on the men's team is higher than the talent level of the women's team, and I can say that because I've seen women practice so far. I think they have a large room for improvement, and we'll see how things go for Coach Buchanan and his coaching staff this year. And Portia Landry, the senior of the squad, has a work cut out for her.
But on the fellas side, you know, Darren Thibodeau is the only senior on the team, and Coach James Dickey expects Tip to lead by example. Thibodeau was a 3-point spot-up shooter last year, but Coach Dickey has said Tip has expanded his game. He can put it on the floor and get to the basket, get to the foul line. That's going to be needed. Coach Dickey said Kirk Banks-like has improved his low post game, which they really need. Banks-like was much relying on his 3-point shot last season and his freshman year as well, but he's stronger, he's healthier, so they should be better in the post. Alanis Harris, sophomore, coming back, tremendous skills. He can put on the floor, he's strong, get to the basket, shoot from the 3-point line as well. There's talent on the Cougars men's squad. The schedule has names on it, name opponents, but even those named opponents are going through transitions. So, the men's schedule is not very difficult, let's be honest. So they should improve upon the win total last year, and it should be around 500. I expect them to be around 500. I'm not expecting them to get to the postseason. It's out of it's not impossible. A lot of things have to break right just because of all the youth and experience on the squad. Some of the guys Coach talked about in an interview, Jonathan Simmons from Midland, 6'6", 195 guard. And you ask him about Gerard Stiggers, and he's a shooter. Coach said he is a shooter. There's versatility all up and down the squad. There's not a true dominant big man, right? But that's why they're going to have to rely on wingmen like Alanis Harris, guys like that, to get some low post production, and wing play is going to have to be key. Point guard play is probably their biggest area of concern, along with the inexperience. So, but Coach Dickey is big on defense. They don't play defense; they only on the floor. Yeah. That was clear. That was spoken about several times. So good things are expected at offense for the fellas. Not so great things for the women. Let's be honest, like it is. I'm hoping they can get to 500 in the conference. I'm not expecting that, but I hope they can get there.
The other thing that Coach Dickey talked about was getting a leader out of this group, not just in basketball uniform, but off the court as well. He's looking for someone to take this team and make it their own and be responsible for this particular team, this group of guys.
And he expects that to be Darren Thibodeau, because Tib is the senior. He's expecting him to do that. And whether he does how great a job he does of it, feed the squad. In order to be a great leader, you also have to have people willing to be followers. Right. So we'll see how it all works out. Talking to other conference coaches, especially the men's head coaches, all of them talked about Conference USA is underrated on the national scene. What are your thoughts on that? They said it repeatedly, and every time we interviewed them, it was Conference is underrated.
Like a replay on the record, a loop or something. So
it's clear. I don't know if it was a memo that the league sent out to the head coaches, but it was hammered home to us that Conference USA is underrated. The coaches were not thrilled. Coach Floyd told us that Conference USA was one of only 3 conferences that have 8 teams in the RPI top 100. Other 2 conferences were, I think, the Big Ten, the Big East. But out of the Conference USA's 8, only UAB and Memphis
went to the tournament.
And UAB had to wait, criticized for getting into the tournament for their berth. And they won the regular season and struggled in the conference tournament. And a lot of folks said they didn't believe they belonged in the NCAA tournament. And Josh Pastner said he believes the Conference USA is strong enough that winning the conference regular season is good enough to get you in the NCAA tournament. So he was surprised to find out that when UAB was on the bubble for so long, waiting to get into the tournament. Right. So, the perception has to change, but in order to change it, they have to win non-conference games. Big-time non-conference matchups, they need to win.
If you schedule Tennessee when they were rolling, which they did, when you schedule West Virginia or Virginia Tech, or you schedule Pittsburgh, you have to, even if it's not a home and home situation, you still have to go and win that game. You got to go on the road. As it does it in football, and nobody has better than ours since they've gone out and just smacked folks upside the head now, at their place. So in basketball, you have to be able to, one, compete. Two, once you get into a situation, especially a late game, you have to be able to finish games. Another thing, Coach Dickey and Coach Brown talked about that today. Finishing games. Something that they are both hoping that comes out of these teams, their particular teams and all this year. There was a lot of information given that was mentioned today. One of those was, and we'll expound on it later, the basketball coaches not being involved in what's going on around everybody. Comes realignment as far as, especially in a situation like TCU, they started out one way toward the east, and now they're landing back at home and out here in the Big 12 and staying inside the state. It'll be interesting, just like a couple of basketball coaches that weren't afraid to make mention of it. At some point, they've got to realize we must have a voice in some part of this, because football is only traveling, as I've said earlier, football is only traveling once a week. All the other sports are traveling twice. And you're responsible for all of those teams getting to where they need to get to on a regular basis. And if they're going back and forth across two timelines, not one, but two, it will be interesting to see how that transpires down the road with these, RPI?
Yep.
Not RPI.
APR.
APR situations, because that has already put quite a few programs on with red flags on them just because of that. Teams the schools are not graduating players, and players are not attempting to finish once they get started.
And even in the APR is important, the academic progress rate, because if a young man or young woman or player transfers to another school, they have to graduate.
Yeah.
They have to be on pace to graduate from that new school, because if not, that impacts the negative impact of the school once they left. So, it's important for the school, until or unless the NCAA goes back to the 4-year scholarships, as long as schools have the 1-year scholarships renewal, basically what it is, and the player scholarship is not renewed for the next year, then you're going to have problems with APR. And we'll see how schools handle it. So, one last thing about, coaches saying that they feel that they're underrated. It's time to walk the walk. You got tough opponents, you need to beat them.
Yeah.
Road, home, neutral site, win the games. Don't leave it up to the committee. Don't leave any doubt. Just win the games, don't leave any doubt. You get into the tournament. You touched on TCU, the Horned Frogs, making it now in the Big 12. The vagabond Horned Frogs have returned to some conference rivals with the Longhorns and Texas Tech and Baylor. They're in the Big 12. Wasn't really surprised once the Big East started. Once Pittsburgh and Syracuse left Big East for the ACC, wasn't really surprised that TCU decided really not to join the Big East, and we're looking for another place to play. But the school that is holding a lot of the cards is Missouri now.
Yeah.
Because if Missouri decides to go to the SEC and leave the Big 12, then the Big 12 is down to 9 schools, which will impact what they're going to do, if they're going to go to 10, if they're going to go to 12, and what the SEC will be at 14. What will other conferences do to accommodate that change? Well, will the Big East take Memphis from the Conference USA? And if that happens, what will Conference USA do? How will Conference USA respond? There's some talk about the Big East adding 6 teams to go for the football, remaining 6 football schools and going to 12 football schools. And some of those are the military academies, Army, Navy, and Air Force, joining up in the Big East. There's some talk on Monday. There was some mention of possibly Houston, along with SMU, being considered for the Big East. So a lot depends on what Missouri does. Well, we're not sure if it's going to happen this week or next week, what the time frame is going to be, if everything is fluid. And just a little teaser for the listeners out there, based on how things may happen, we may have to do another podcast later on this week to handle the situations of realignment.
Yeah, Conference USA. Wasn't able to get a chance to talk to Commissioner Brikansky.
Britton, what is his name? Britton Manowski, something like that?
Wasn't able to talk to him, but our cohort, Sam Khan, definitely check him out.
At the Chronicle website, with the Cron.com. Yeah, Sam interviewed Commissioner Manowski. I hope I'm saying that right. And because I hate getting names wrong.
Right.
I know his first name is Britton. I know that. But Sam interviewed him. I'm not sure when the article is going to be. He's going to include the article on the Chronicle website in the paper. But so that, there's going to be something. It is Banowski. It looks like it is Banowski. Banowsky. Britton Banowski. So what happens with Conference USA? Will they go ahead with a merger discussion with Mountain West? Heck, there's talk about Boise State going to the Big East. If Boise State leaves Mountain West, what the hell's the point of merger with Conference USA? So everything is fluid now. And being a UH graduate, was finally public mention to appease some of my paranoid alums, public mention about UH in a conference. This happens to be the Big East that was mentioned with UH this time. Trust me, Wildcat and I have heard other conferences mentioned for UH. We won't publicize them because it's not necessarily need to know, but everything is so fluid. Once upon a saying one thing, and then the next day it changes. So Big East UH is mentioned right now. We'll see how things go. What else you want to talk about, Wildcat, as we continue to tread into uncharted territory?
Pay attention to. I'm sorry. Pay attention to not just the upcoming season. Pay attention to what's going on around you on a regular basis. One of those things is Texas Southern football. It's been an up and down roller coaster ride. They haven't finished games the last 2 games.
They can't punt. And their special teams are trash.
I don't know what. My intention is to go by and talk to Coach Ramsey about that because that hadn't been an issue. It wasn't. I feel like this. It wasn't an issue last season. This year, that has been an issue. Something has gone haywire with that because that needs to get corrected. Because not only have they lost games, they've lost conference games because of that. Not being able to make punts. Teams are running on them now, and when they're setting up for 4th down plays, they are running options.
The punting situation in the game, in Saturday's game against Alabama State, got so bad with the botch snaps, drop poor kicks, drop snaps, resulted in a touchdown. It got so bad that they had to do quick kicks 2 or 3 times, and even the quick kicks were horrible. They're going to be on ESPNU on Thursday, October 13th, against Alabama A&M. So hopefully they won't be embarrassed on national television once again like they were earlier in the year versus Jackson State, where the nation could see the horrible kicking game come to light. I think Jackson State scored 30-something points in the second quarter. I mean, and part of the reason was because of the awful special teams. Special teams are on the junior high level. That's how bad it is. It's inept. The Rice Owls play football Saturday, correct, sir?
Yeah. They are on the road.
And they're playing Marshall.
Yeah.
Is that a winnable game?
Yes. It's a winnable game. Whether that gets done or not. It's not. And the reason I say that is because they're on the road. They had one road game this year. And they are in dire need of resolving that part of it. The 2 games they've had at home, they've won both of them. And
the Owls are 2 and 3 in football, right?
Right.
So they got to get at least four more to become bowl eligible. Will they get it done?
Right.
Will they get it done?
No.
They won't get it done.
They won't get it done.
And if that happens,
I think it'll be a change.
So you said, okay.
I think it'll be a change.
Prairie View playing this week. I think they are playing this week. I know the Cougars are off. Cougars are enjoying their time off before they get back at it. I want to give a congratulations to Adrian Hamilton for Prairie View, senior defensive end. He was named Player of the Week, Defensive Player of the Week. And this young man had a great week. I'm going to read. I believe he had 7 tackles, Listen to this: 7 tackles, forced a pair of fumbles, 4 of the tackles were for loss, including 2 sacks. So we helped PV beat Southern 23-20. So I think Prairie View surprised a lot of people with how well they played. They're playing Alabama State on Saturday in Montgomery, Alabama at 1 o'clock. Game's going to be shown on ESPN. You take the late broadcast, 9:30 Houston time. So watch that. Alabama State is the top team in SWAC. So it's going to be a tough test, road test for Coach Northern and the fellas. Wish them good luck. Wildcat, is there anything else you want to touch on as we wind it down here on this podcast edition of the KG and Fifth Wildcat podcast?
We sound kind of off a little bit. That's because we've been on the road now all day, driving up and driving back. But there's no excuse. One thing that I want to keep mentioning that stay in touch with your local programs. Come out and see them play. The TSU game was not well attended on this past Saturday. How was the U.S. game?
Well, they announced it as a sellout. Apparently I perturbed some fellow alums when I tweeted that there were empty seats. I said the threat of rain apparently impacted some folks and kept them home instead of being in Robertson, because there were empty seats all over the place. Unless the folks who were outside the Robertson Stadium still eating and drinking while the game was going on. They're not all busting all the seats. I see that all before my eyes. It was not a sellout. It was busting the seats. Now, I may have announced it as such, but it is, whatever. We'll see how things go.
And folks,
Cougars 6-0, Prairie Bowl eligible. And one of the things, might as well toss it out there right now. We talked about it on the drive back. Arizona fired head coach Mike Stoops. And one of the names mentioned for the job is whom?
Kevin Sumner.
So, and
6 games in. 6
games in. So the Cougars aren't in a major conference. The Cougars don't put something in the ground for a new stadium.
Folks, we all know what's happening.
Let's be honest with it. Watch the coach. Someone stay if they don't get those things done.
That's right. Oh, and by the way, in order for you to one of those things, those items that's discussed in moving to a new conference is 2 things. Am I right, sir? Facilities and fans in the seats.
Yes, and we mean that butts in the seats. Yes, we do. And the facilities need to be upgraded. I mean, everybody knows that money's being raised for the stadium. Obviously been made fundraising and all that kind of stuff. But until shovels in the dirt, I want to see it. I won't believe it until it happens. I'm already a pessimist by nature, and then as a Cougar alum, that's also more pessimism. So I'm double pessimistic. So you see how I see things. But we always want to thank everybody for listening. Tell your friends for listening. Stop out to podcast by the KGF Wildcat. We appreciate all your support. Like I said, we may have to do another one of these podcasts later in the week based on how things may go. That is a teaser, folks. Trust me when I say that is a teaser. We may have another podcast coming up later this week. So, Wildcat, how can folks find you?
You can find me at www.kingsizeview.com, www.aksvthecsr.blogspot.com.
You're also on Twitter, right, sir?
Twitter, #AKSVTheCSR.
And I'm KG of the Houston Roundball Review. Website is www.houstonroundballreview.com. On Facebook as well, Houston Roundball Review fan page, Facebook fan page. Check out the fan page. Please check it out. Become a fan of the fan page. You'll see the videos right there. Probably start doing some poll questions for people to answer once basketball season gets underway. Oh, and a reminder, we'll be continuing our trek at another conference media day in a few days. We'll be in Kansas City. For Big 12 Media Day.
Wow.
Seeing the Aggies last time in the Big 12.
And we'll do that podcast on the road.
Possibly. We'll see how things go. That'll be interesting how we pull that one off. We'll be on the road again in a few days for that. But even then, once again, teaser, folks. There may be another podcast this week to discuss certain things. That's all we're going to say about that. Houston Roundball Review is on YouTube at the Houston Roundball channel. Check it out for the videos there as well. I'm also on Twitter at THEHR Review. Thank you as always for listening to KG and Fifth Wildcat podcast. And in conclusion, Be true, be cool, and do more.